first. You said 60 seconds. Let's teach the world also how you do it. Let's give them some tools. Tell me, if you had to connect in those 60 seconds, is there a major plan around it? Is it broken into 3 parts? What is it? If you had to postulate and modelize it, how do you think any commoner or any sales guy could go about using those 60 seconds to do same what you do?
Of course, there's a formula to it, but that's a secret sauce. But yeah, let me share that with you.
So whatever you can.
No, of course. No. It's always about, I always believe in giving back to the community because nothing is going to go. It's good. I'd be very happy if probably 100 more people able to learn that hack of theirs.
And I'll tell you, Anil, when they do that and they share it back, I will tell you, you'll get a third idea. And that is always evolutionary.
I'm with you on that. I'm really with you on that. So I have a knack of that, and I break that into 3 parts of 60 seconds. See, one is, it's like when we say the first impression, which you all know, and we call it also as lasting impression. So when you're meeting somebody for the first time, and when I said strangers, it's very important to how do you connect. And don't keep your sales hat on it, because the moment you're keeping your sales hat, you want to connect with an intent. Yes. Okay, that's what I say, don't do that. Okay, I have another rule which is minimum 3 meetings, but I will talk about that later. But don't have that intent of selling, because when you have that intent of selling, then you go with a purpose of connecting. But here, go with the purpose of building a bond. Yes. So that's the first part which I always believe, that go all out, meet the person, understand the person, not his title. He's the CEO, he's the founder, he's the CMO. Again, then you'll be dissuaded by that whole thing. So just go and connect with him. And those connections can be, hey, how was your weekend? Or how's the week coming up for you? And just be a little casual about this whole thing and try to connect with him. Something very important. And even before you do that connect, I always tell, and being in sales for such a long time, homework is very important. I'm sure we all have done homework in our school for the next day. So that prep work, what we call it as homework, is very important. For example, if Shita, like what you did, amazing. Before we got connected, you kind of went through the entire history of what Anil has done, all the companies which I've worked for, and that's why you were able to give a great intro. And that's the homework which I'm talking about. So I think that's very, very critical for every person out there. I'm saying forget sales. Anybody's trying to build a bond or relationship, it could be pre-sales, customer success, or anyone, you need to kind of do that prep work, and that's very, very helpful.
For a stranger, you can just run your Google Lens first and find him on LinkedIn.
No, but stranger also sometimes, see, we are all smart sales guys, right? You need to kind of, who's the stranger whom you really want to connect with. Yes. But in the normal casual world, then just wear your hat on, love general human, and just connect with him.
Yes.
So that's something which you should do, and connect without a purpose, which I'm saying, or without a thing.
Yes, very
human to human, and H2H is one of the biggest things.
Yes.
The second part is, when you're connecting with a person, try to understand what are they going through in their lives. Typically, when you connect with a person, you start thinking about yourself, you start talking about yourself. One thing which I've learned in sales, I used to always feel that I was always paid for my tongue because I talk well. Okay, but then I realized, I think that's the biggest mistake which I'm doing in my life. And I did that mistake for the first 8 to 10 years of my career. I used to talk a lot, and I never used to allow the opposite person to speak. But then over the time, when the hairs became gray, I realized you need to be silent 30% of the time. Sorry, 70% of the time. 70%. And only 30% of the time you should talk.
True.
That's where you'll be able to get a larger understanding of that person.
Correct.
And in business call, you'll be able to get a larger meet from the person to understand what is he thinking about the business, how is he planning to grow the business, what are his difficulties / challenges, or what does he wants to, or where does he wants to reach on the business side of it.
Yes.
If you just trigger a question, and always trigger with an open-ended question, let the person talk. And not just talk about yourself, let the person talk. Because the first half, it's about you when you're saying hello and just building that relationship. But after that, just keep quiet, leave some open-ended question, and let him or her talk.
Yes.
That's the second part.
Yes.
Third part, always ensure that don't stop the relationship. Even with a stranger, like for example, in Singapore, I catch a Grab car, and again, being a person the way I am, I start chatting with the person for whatever that 20 minutes ride. And while leaving, I always tell him, you never know, I might connect with you again, because Singapore is a small place and we all take Grabs. So probably I might connect with you again. And this happened. I realized that I'm sitting in the same cab. He comes and tells me, hey sir, I picked you up last week also.
Yes.
I said, oh man, how do you recollect, man? You got a good memory, especially sitting in the front. He said, no, not because of the memory, because we started chatting and you were talking about your daughter and everything. I said, oh wow. So I become personal also with people, because that's where you let your guards go off and make the person that you are there as a human, not as a title or as a person.
Very
So
true.
I think that's the third part, which is very important, that leave something for a next engagement or a next interaction.
Leave a relationship, like you said. Continue in your relationship.
Exactly.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing the secret sauce.